let me first say, before I even start into this, that this video that I'm about to make is not so much about any educational information that you're going to get. Although there'll probably be a little bit of it in there. But in reality, I'm making this video predominantly just to point out just how fucking delusional and how insane some of these old feminists are. I mean, I really, you know what? As much as I realize that they're a complete enemy to me because I don't have no fear of them, even though they do have a lot of power and they've actually been, at the basis, these are the kind of people that actually have caused a lot of hardships in my life and have been at the root of that and pushed all these kinds of fucking mandatory minimums and collective laws and shit. But I'm sorry, I just can't help but laugh at just how delusional. I mean, come on, ladies. Christ, I've always known my whole life. I mean, I love women. I mean, my goodness, do I ever. I mean, but I've known for most of my life that, who you think watches daytime like soap operas and talk shows and reality TV, like all these bullshit premises that are always based on just fucking, mindless, idiotic and stupid shit and premises where you're not, there's nothing that expands your mind about these things, like, tabloids back in the day. Well, they're still around today, like, like the Globe or the Inquirer or all these. It's predominantly women. And it's like, but can you, at least once in a while, you do have to try to function and live in the real world, okay? And accept reality as it is, even if you don't like it. But here's this Elizabeth Benzetti, Globe and Mail article. Headline: Clinton campaign, bring on the grannies and let's get this party started. And if you look at a picture of this lady, she looks like she's getting up there and on in her years too. So, like I said, the delusion is strong. Especially, I mean, anyways, let me just read through this and touch down on some of the fucking hysterical aspects, right? Never mind superheroes for a moment. Could the power of two aging grannies be harnessed to change the world? Like I said, yeah, the delusions of grandeur. I mean, it's so strong in these types. It's laughable, hysterical, but yeah, very disturbing because they have the power of the state, right? And so but I mean, in reality, that power is still, even though they think they have that power because they have the state behind them, in reality, like all these people, challenge real fucking men in your life and see how that plans out for you. Right? You can have all the delusions of grandeur all you want, but you women, I mean, not get male soldiers in the military or male police officers, but I'm saying get some of these grannies or you women, try to control and dictate men properly without using the power of mysticism or other men to do the job for you, and see how that pans out. And you'll find out real quickly, reality will smack you in the face so hard that you will have no choice but to get back into the fucking reality that is around you and that surrounds you. It'll happen that fast. Hillary Clinton, 68, is the Democrats' presumptive nominee for president, even if some Bernie Sanders supporters consider her victory to be a vast conspiracy perpetuated by our lizard overlords. I mean, think about, yeah, that's what they think. All you younger people that, and I get that a lot of the younger people that support Bernie Sanders, even though you're a little bit confused too. Oh, I mean, a lot confused, most of you. But at least I see where your heart, where your premise, where it's coming from. But these old fucks like this bitch or Hillary Clinton or, as you'll see, Elizabeth Warren, they really are the ones that control and dictate your lives, or they want to. And they believe that they actually have that capacity, but they don't even want to acknowledge that it's only your willingness that allows that to happen, right? But anyway, This week it emerged that the most powerful ally is Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. 66, the Wall Street grudgingly Main Street defending firebrand. Or the Wall Street cudgeling, whatever the fuck that's... Anyways, whatever. If you think I'm being derogatory by calling them grannies, quite the opposite. It is time for the world to be reclaimed and for the power and wisdom of age to be acknowledged as the beginning of life, not the end of it. Mrs. Clinton and Mrs. Warren, towering professional accomplishments and their domestic lives aren't mutually exclusive, but mutually reinforcing. Like I say, this is wild, man. Let's talk about fiction. The third word in Mrs. Clinton's Twitter bio is grandma, and she has talked about how she is driven by wanting to make the world a better place for her granddaughter Charlotte. Mrs. Warren told the Boston Globe last week that she was doing a puzzle with her grandchildren when she learned that Donald Trump had attacked her on Twitter as Goofy Elizabeth Warren. I imagine her turning to the kids and saying, "Can you find the corner pieces while Grandma goes and rips this bad man a new one back in 5." Okay, hold on. Okay, got to get through it. Even before announcing her endorsement of Mrs. Clinton on Thursday night, Mrs. Warren had an electrifying effect on the campaign. In the memorable words of the New York Times, Elizabeth Warren is the Democrats' sledgehammer. Donald Trump is the nail. As if any woman could fucking dominate them. Just go look at Elizabeth Warren and then go look at Donald Trump and ask yourself, in the real world, absent of mysticism, collectivism, or being able to use any other force or entity to impose force on your opponent, who would win in that situation, in that scenario? I mean, you know fucking damn well. So like I said, delusional ladies. And this is what the feminists have done to women. They've created a complete fucking... Ladies are now living those soap operas, those daytime dramas. They're living it in their real life, believing that they have all of this power over men in society. They don't recognize that the only reason why if that power exists, is because men are allowing it. Like it or lump it, that's truth. Even before announcing her endorsement of Mrs. Clinton on Thursday night, Mr. Warren had an electrifying effect on the campaign. In the memorable words of the New York Times, Elizabeth Warren is the Democrat sledgehammer. Donald Trump is the nail. She has variously denounced the Republican presumptive nominee as a thin-skinned racist bully, a fraud, and a small insecure money grubber who doesn't care who gets hurt as long as he makes money out of it. I mean, these are people that work in government, right? Donald Trump has had to work in the private sector, right? But he's thin-skinned. I mean, think of what it gets to be with. I mean, look at this shit and the stuff he espouses. But yeah, he's thin-skinned. Meanwhile, he knows that. I mean, look at how many people are against him for him espousing any kind of truth and reason. But yeah, he's thin-skinned, right? I mean, like I said, like, holy fuck with your delusions. Come on, ladies, I'm embarrassed for you. Even if I don't care much for these old, whatever the hell you want to call them, I actually feel sorry for them because they're living. I mean, are you all that disturbed? Well, then stop trying to pump up your chest and pound on and act like you're some kind of alpha male. Just say, listen, we need help. But stop. I don't respect anyone that is truly weak within and pretend to be something that they're not. Okay? I have no respect for that. This is hardly the stereotypical behavior of a granny, and thank God for it. Donald Trump has made a career of fetishizing the beauty of young, bikini-clad women. He has made misogynistic comments for years about women who were fat or pigs or couldn't perform their jobs because of their menstrual cycles. He made enough gross observations about his own daughter's physical attributes to keep a fleet of psychiatrists in penthouse luxury for decades. If he is brought low by two stern pantsuited grandmothers, right? We might have to acknowledge that there is a creator And she has an excellent sense of humor. I mean, just like there's a creator, and she has this, like I said, like the delusion of grandeur is strong in this one. But it's very telling. It's very telling when they get that desperate, right? At one point, Mrs. Warren was also a vocal critic of Mrs. Clinton over the proper regulation of Wall Street institutions. Some are arguing that siding with her now is a betrayal of principles, a horrible flip-flop. Equally, you could argue that with age comes perspective, the ability to be flexible, to compromise in order to achieve a greater good. A greater good, right? But let's see how they're going to spin that. She was a complete... But in politics, like I said, in politics, it's all about twisting and distorting the narrative to suit whatever, whatever's going to benefit you in the here and now, but to achieve a greater good. So even though Warren was always praised and applauded for standing against the stuff that she was standing against, but because Clinton might have been part of that target she was pointing at, now it's like, oh, I don't want to point that target, even though Clinton is literally that target, but I'll take that target off Clinton to show solidarity. And now they're like, oh, it's because she's older and mature and more wiser now, right? Time is a thief, as the writer Leigh Hunt once noted, but it brings certain gifts. The ability to stop giving a damn about what people think, for one thing. For women, this is such a wonderful gift that Tiffany's should put it in a blue box and sell it at Christmas. This is the mindset of a woman, right? Yeah. Jesus Christ, man. Oh, man. All right, I said a woman, but not just a woman, but I mean, when I think of it, central planning, collectivists, control freak women, these feminazis, right? It's trickier for female politicians who must walk a narrow path between forcefulness and likability. As Miss Warren noted in her best-selling memoir, A Fighting Chance, she was never going to win her senatorial race on the basis of likability. She was never going to be the one the voters wanted to have a beer with. But she could be the most competent, the most passionate, the most learned. I mean, whatever, right? Time adds a few wrinkles to the skin, but also makes it much thicker. Both women, fortunately, have rhino's hides. Which is useful when you consider the garbage they put up with. The former Secretary of State is Hillary, Shillery, the witch, and worse. And here's a small sampling of the abuse that appears on Miss Warren's Facebook page after her endorsement. Keep your comments to yourself, you ugly skank. Don't hold your breath, you old bag. How much campaign cash did you get from Shillery, you horrid phony? And succinctly, Benedict Warren. If you don't think this is indicative of the sexism that has dogged the campaign in small ways and large, I'll buy you a ticket for the bus back to 1955. Yeah. When she endorsed Miss Clinton on Rachel Maddow's show, I mean, think about what all these women are. I mean, just pure feminazis, right? But it's like they're going to all defend each other no matter how fucking stupid each other are. Think about it. Only a collective ideologue would defend another collective ideologue, no matter how immoral, no matter how inept, no matter how unthinking, how non-critically thinking, how illogical they are. That's pure collectivism right there. I mean, if you want any more proof how far women will go down that rabbit hole to support each other, no matter how fucking violent, vindictive, and destructive that may be, look no further, right? When she ignores Miss Clinton on Rachel Maddow's show, Miss Warren acknowledged that the years of fighting have actually made them stronger. She's out there. She's a fighter. She's tough. I think this is what we need. For 25 years, she's been taking the incomings. The right wing has thrown everything they possibly can at her. Not even close, but anyways, a lot of people would hang up their spurs, they'd say, I have had enough. And she doesn't. She gets back up and she gets back in the future. Or in the fight. Could there actually be a raging granny ticket? Could Mrs. Warren be the vice presidential pick? It would fly in the face of conventional wisdom, which says that the vice president should be a complementary presence, filling in gaps, geographic, political, on the ticket. But wouldn't it be wonderful? In brackets. Here I must give a shout out to the actual Raging Grannies, an activist group that subverts stereotypes about aging. When I phoned my mother, a fierce Clinton devotee and a grandmother of 8, to ask how she felt about this historic nomination, she said, I'm dancing, and I can't even dance anymore. This is worth remembering. It's never too late to keep dancing or winning elections. Yeah. Yeah, this is good stuff, man. Like I said, I just had to make this video just for the simple fact. I mean, I don't even have to say or do much. I just had to read it, and I'll let everyone else come to draw their own conclusions about, like I said, the kind of delusion that these feminazis have. I mean, they no longer even grasp. They've been living in such a secluded environment that has removed them so far from reality that this is how they think. This is how they think. Personally, I think it's time to get that wake-up call that they so desperately need. That will put them back in place so that they understand that reality matters much, much, much more than this fictional concept that they're trying to dream up and implement in the real world. Because as we all know, that will never play out. Okay? It will never play out. It's time for them to get up, give up that fictional concept of women dominating men. Not that I would ever suggest men should have any premise or right to dominate women. But, absent of being able to use other men to dominate these women, like I said, it's totally delusional. If women have come to power, or if any of these women have any power, it is not because women have any capacity, physically, mentally, or otherwise, to dominate men. If men are dominated in any way, shape, or form, unless they're just, like I said, there are exceptions to the rule. I mean, if you're a really, really big, heavy-set, or muscular woman, and you have a really wimpy, geeky, nerdy, like puny, pathetic little man, you might be able to do that personally. But in the grand scheme of things, men and women are not equal when it comes to their ability to inflict harm, right? Or I should say, women will never reach, guns, that's another thing too. Guns are the only thing that will ever, if you women want to put yourself, if you're being dominated by a man, men or women, if any sex is being dominated by the other, the only truly equalizing aspect in that scenario would be the use of a gun. The gun is the true equalizer. Even two men, a really weak man and a really big, strong man, the gun is the equalizer in that situation. Same with these women, these feminists. It's not that they have gained any more strength or capabilities to dominate men, but they have the power of the state. That's what they're saying. But that state does not necessarily belong to women. The state is up for grabs, and whoever can take possession of that force will dominate the other, and can dominate the other. People like myself are saying, don't give anyone that capability to dominate anyone. And use proper logic, morals, and common laws to prevent anyone from gaining that power over another person. That's how it should be done. That's how it's properly done. But trying to promote grannies, Clinton and Warren, all these senior citizens, as being so strong. I get it. You're trying to compete with Trump, right? You're trying to pretend that these women are, because everyone recognizes that people love Trump because of the strength that he represents, right? The resolve. So they're jumping on the coattails. It's going to fail tremendously. I'm embarrassed for you even trying. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.